The first time I saw you was on the screen at Sebastian's house. Back then you were so much older than me, but now you're a child. Oh, I was wondering why you got naked when that boy started kissing you. Ooh. I was disgusted yet oddly excited. The feeling was completely...
Hey everybody, KingHulk here with another great episode of FetCast for you. Episode number 41, Collars. That's right, this week I'm talking all about collars with DespoenaCalypso and MassageMeDeep. Can't wait for everyone to hear it. Go online. Why don't you check out realkink.com. Check out their show. Links to everything is in the descriptions of the episode. Check those out. Patreon.com/FetCast. But if you're listening to Android, there's good news this week. Now you don't have to download any other apps besides the Google Music app. You can now find podcasts in there, so you can just subscribe directly on your Android phone now. Look up FetCast and we're right there. So if you have iPhone, you can just pull open the podcast app on that and search for us. Pretty easy. So don't forget to subscribe on whatever platform you listen on. And that's it. Let's get to the show. Welcome to FetCast.
So her FetLife name is MassageMeDeep.
MassageMeDeep. And
you identify as S-type masochist, right?
S-type masochist with switchy tendencies. I'm very much a sadist, but it's service-oriented sadism. So I usually play with people who don't have someone else to do certain things with them, whether it's a submissive who doesn't have somebody else or whose dominant isn't necessarily into certain masochistic needs that they have. I'm kind of a safe outlet for that because I'm a girl. So obviously I'm not a threat.
So she's like me, but the other side of the spectrum, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So she's she's teaching at Frolicon as well. She's teaching like 4 classes.
Yeah, I mean,
so I don't know why you're doing 4. I was like, so here's 3.
yeah. Well, I did 3 last year, and I'm like, I've got to teach fewer. And then it's like, I'm teaching. They're all massage-based classes because, well, I mean, that's kind of my expertise. I'm teaching Massage 101, which is a vanilla class. To teach people how they can use massage to help their friends, family, loved ones, pets, whoever they want. And then we'll get into the more kinky side of things with Sadistic Massage 1. I did Sadistic Massage last year, and it was very well received. But unfortunately, I didn't have enough time, so I've broken it down into 2 different classes this year. Sadistic Massage 1 is going to be the upper body, because there are lots of little points on the upper body that you can torture people with their own musculoskeletal dysfunctions. And there is Sadistic Massage 2 is going to be the lower body, and it's also going to involve the use of like toys and tools and things like rope or various canes and things like that, and how you can use that in the massage. So, and then I'm doing a foot worship class that I'm calling Art and Soul, the art of erotic foot care and worship.
That is so funny. I love it.
I like the name.
Mm-hmm. And so I'll be showing how to give a rudimentary but proper pedicure. I'm not going into anything like toenail painting or anything like that, but basically, you know, how you can make somebody's feet less alligator-like and make them and prep them for to be easier to massage, number one. but then also showing mainly how to give a really good foot massage, because there is kind of a technique and an art to it, and you kind of have to know a little bit about the anatomy of the foot. And if you can give a really good foot massage, it's just absolute heaven. So, I mean, anybody can pick your foot up and rub lotion on it and then suck on your toes, but
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, even if Miss DC over here doesn't particularly care for that.
Don't bite my toes off.
But
you found the thing.
But giving a good foot massage is, I personally think, is a great way to not only for an S-type to provide a service for their top, but also a really nice reward, or kind of a caretaking thing that a dominant or top can perform for their submissive, especially if their submissive works on their feet or does things that the dominant likes, like wear really hot, sexy high heels that absolutely kill the toes.
Now, when is Frolicon?
Frolicon is 3 weeks?
2 weeks. It is not this weekend, not next weekend, because next weekend is bad, but it is the following weekend.
Mother's Day weekend.
2 weeks as of today, actually, Thursday.
Jesus.
So Mother's Day weekend, and where at?
Atlanta, Georgia.
It's it's being held at the Atlanta Sheraton Hotel downtown.
We're jabbering away today. How are you?
Good. You guys ready to talk about collars?
Sure.
So collars. Collars are a really big deal in this lifestyle. They are a symbol, both for the outside world and, more importantly, for the people who use them. People use collars for so many different reasons, whether it's just to protect someone when they're going into a different situation, and so that they don't have to worry about other people coming and approaching them. You know, a friend might put a collar on them, or they might put a collar on themselves to kind of denote, hey, there's a protocol here that you have to adhere to. Or it can be as significant to someone as a wedding ring, and every nuance in between. So it's I think it's probably a bit of a hot button issue for people too, because it is such a symbolic thing to do.
Yeah, because there are some people that treat it like it's as important as a wedding ring, and there are also the people that take it and look at it as just a play accessory.
Well, and then there's some people, it's just the fashion. It's a stand-in model, but it depends. It depends on the group of people you're around. It depends where you're at. You know, I'm not going to wear a full muzzle corseted collar, you know, in the mall, probably.
Probably.
Well, I say probably because there could be a couture fashion show, and then, I'd be wearing that. But there's not a lot of reason for me to wear that at Disney World. There's not a lot of reason for me to wear that at an elementary school.
Oh, definitely.
I think there's a time and a place for it all. I think that if you are relying, and this is a personal opinion, and I'm pretty strong about this one, if you are relying on an object to keep you in line and keep you within your dynamic or your relationship, if you need that object, there's maybe something you need to look at about that relationship. Like if I need a wedding band to be true to my husband, what am I doing? You know, if I need a driver's license to obey the, laws of the land, obviously we need it because it's legal stuff. But the point being, like same concept, the license doesn't make me magically able to drive. It's the knowledge that I've spent into it and the time I've spent into it.
Now, the other side of that, though, is that some people do use collars as a way of getting into a proper headspace. I know that there are people who, especially for people who are switches, they have a tendency to have like one of my exes and I, we always identified together as switches, and depending on who was feeling more submissive and who was going to take the top role, one of us would wear the collar that we had picked out. So it was a symbol for us to kind of help put us in the right headspace. And I find that I know a lot of people who that is kind of how it is. It kind of takes them out of their vanilla persona and puts them into more of a submissive headspace. And depending on their level of poly and what their relationship dynamic is, putting on a collar or taking off a collar could be a license to go and do things with other people. But when that collar is on, you're not allowed to do that. So it kind of sets your protocol for you as well.
Have you ever worn a collar, Hulk?
No.
No? Did you wear a wedding band?
Nope.
Really? Ooh. Go Princess Bambi.
We're not married yet.
Oh, really? Oh. Why did I think that you were?
Because I always refer to her as the wife, because it's the easiest thing to do. And we've been together for a solid 10 years and engaged for like 9.
Oh, wow.
That's gross, dude.
Now, do you ever think there's anyone that doesn't take the collar seriously?
I mean,
go ahead.
13-year-olds with collars from Spencer's, maybe?
Well, I think what he's asking is, do you find that there's anybody in the lifestyle who doesn't take them seriously? I mean, obviously, collars as a fashion accessory has been around for decades.
Eons.
Depends on. Well, this is true. Yeah, I mean, Elizabethan collars, Romans. I mean, something around the throat in a tight-fitting manner has been some form of fashion accessory throughout pretty much all of your eras, but within the lifestyle, I think that everyone seems to treat collars as a symbol, whether or not they believe that symbol is very meaningful is kind of individual. I find that people who are new to the lifestyle tend to look at wearing a collar as just, well, I'm going to wear a collar because it signifies and makes me, it signifies that I'm in this lifestyle and it makes me look like I belong here. And they very quickly come to realize that collar has a very deep symbolism for some people, and that they need to be careful. Just like going into any culture, you need to be careful when you adopt a cultural norm of a culture without knowing what that means within that culture. So it's like going down into certain areas of inner cities and wearing black or red. You may be signifying to other people that you are a member of a group that you actually are not. So I think that people start out kind of nonchalant about it, but once they actually start to learn the nuances of this culture, they realize that they need to take the other way other people are going to see that collar seriously, because they may end up being projecting a persona or a role within the lifestyle that they actually are not meaning to.
What about like Velcro collars? Like, because that kind of sounds like from a bottom point of view almost. Mm-hmm. Like from a top point of view, I've seen people that just hand out collars left and right, and I'm like, that to me is very frustrating, because people take literally months to years to be in my collar. And, I just now went through and I'm doing a 30-day contract with Manic Manor just now, and we've been seeing each other for almost 3 months. Mm-hmm. And I told her, I said, it's going to be another 3 months before we get anywhere further with this. And she's not going to wear anything collar-like except at play parties for a while, because for me, putting something on someone's throat and signifying that they're my property is a huge deal, because then people know, and they know that the actions that that person in my collar is doing, I'm agreeing with, whether I'm there or not. It is a symbol of me. It is a symbol of our dynamic and our relationship. And if someone's not being respectful in that, then that falls back on me as a dominant and how I, expect my submissives to act.
Yeah, Bambi has one collar, and I admit it's more just a play collar because it's, bright pink, has sparkly, sexy written on it, and it's snap button.
I'm not at all judging you for that. I want a sexy, sparkly pink collar.
Mm-hmm.
Where's mine?
This is awkward, but I'm not collaring you. I'm sorry.
Okay.
We're not there yet.
Not there yet.
We need another couple of these
couple podcasts.
Yeah.
Not on the third podcast. My God.
No, this is which one is this? This is the fifth?
Well,
fourth?
Hopefully it'll be the fourth, but the fifth time we've done this.
But we've done 5.
Now, the thing with the Velcro collars is that I think the thing to remember is that the most important thing about a collar is what it signifies between the people that it belongs to, both the person wearing it and the person putting it on. If you play with multiple people and when you go to a play party, you have a specific color collar that you put on whoever it is that you're playing with, then as long as they do not have any expectation that that collar means more than it does, then okay. But if you are going out and purchasing a handful of Turian collars and giving it to every person that you have any kind of a fuck buddy relationship with or that you happen to play with for a weekend, then, and you're not explaining to them this is just for this weekend and this is what it signifies, A, B, and C, then allowing that person to wear your collar on a 24/7 basis without them understanding what it is kind of like giving somebody an engagement ring and not explaining to them that, no, this is just a cubic zirconia and it's just to signify that you have someone that you are in a relationship with. It's not that we're not engaged.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, I've been in 24/7 total power exchange dynamics for long weekends. I've done it a couple times at different events. It helps me keep my head on straight. It gives me a reason to be there besides teaching. It also keeps me in a very teaching, very giving headspace. And I have a lot of trouble doing that at big events with lots of people that I know because I feel like I owe everyone my time. And, if 400 people at an event, you're only going to be there 2 days. Like, divide that out. Like, how many people really get quality time with you if each scene is an hour and a half? It starts to get like everyone gets 30 seconds, and that's a really dickish way to look at it. But when I really sat down and thought about how do I dole out my time, I couldn't. But a collar gives me a reason to be like, well, I have to go check in with my person, or it's also been a really good way for me to reset my brain. When I've had breakups, I don't feel very wanted and I don't feel very good about myself. And so doing a total power exchange dynamic for a weekend tends to be that reset button for me to go, okay, no, I am a person of value and what I can offer on either side of the collar is wanted and good. And so I've had a couple of, I guess 4 over the years between my Gorian family and a friend.
But again, you have negotiated out that the total power exchange will be for that weekend and that weekend only.
Yeah.
If you have a bunch of submissives who have your collar on them, then do all of them know what that means to you and therefore what they mean to you? I mean, it's all fine and good to have a harem, but I mean, there is such a thing as emotional bandwidth. There's such a thing as the ability to divide your time and your emotional capabilities amongst all of your partners. And so if you are giving all of the people that you play with the same collar, then you're setting up a whole group of people to possibly have some really big letdowns in their expectations because they think that they have the same collar as your primary partner, and without explaining to them that, no, it's just the same style, it doesn't mean the same thing. And something like a contract is an excellent idea because it clearly spells out everything that is expected of both parties so that there are no misunderstandings, or that if there are misunderstandings, there is a mechanism within the contract for negotiating them out.
To go back and talk about it.
But what
kind of collars have you worn?
I have actually never, other than with my ex-husband, where we would trade it back and forth, I have actually never worn a collar.
Really?
I had a gentleman that I was in a relationship with down in Tampa who, it was, just a plain black dog collar, and I was never very comfortable wearing it. Because it was too much of a collar. I mean, it was
like a nylon one, or like
a nylon,
one?
Nylon one, and it was kind of big and heavy, and I mean, it wasn't super, it wasn't like he didn't treat me like a dog or anything, but I would have preferred something leather or something with some sparkle to it, or something, preferably like a necklace,
sparkle,
so that I could feel comfortable wearing it all the time and not feel like people were looking at me like, why is she wearing a dog collar? I mean, yeah, sure, I have various goth tendencies, but wearing a dog collar is not one of them. So he wanted a 24/7 master-slave relationship, but unfortunately, our communication was not where it needed to be in order for me to be comfortable with that, and that relationship collapsed pretty fast.
Yeah, if you don't have the communication, that's really hard to keep something like that going on that level.
Yes. I was taking some of the things that he said at face value about the things that he wanted to do to me, despite the fact that he had specifically said that he was not a sadist, that he did not have a lot of experience with doing really painful, sadistic things to people. He was telling me all of these things that he wanted to do to me, and I'm going in the back of my mind, you've specifically told me you don't have experience in doing those things, and those are things that I've done with someone in my past that, yes, at the time it was something that I really enjoyed because he was a sadist and I am very much an approval whore. So if it was something that makes my partner happy, then yes, they can do it to me. But if it doesn't make you happy, if you're not a sadist, then why would you want to hurt me like that? So it caused a lot of friction between us, and the relationship deteriorated, and it was a very very difficult time for me because I wanted to be what he wanted me to be, but he wasn't willing to communicate with me to the level that I needed him to in order to be comfortable submitting to him. But I've never, the closest...
Do you have your own?
Do I have my own collar? I actually have a couple of collars that I've worn just... I had a friend who had a Turian that she replaced with a seamless one, and she gave it to me in exchange for a massage. And I still have the one that my ex-husband and I used to trade around, trade back and forth, but I don't have any that have ever really been given to me by someone else. They're all ones that I've either purchased myself or that were given to me.
I have a lot of collars because some of them go on people and some of them lock and some of them don't. My only personal, I have one chainmail collar that does not lock, it just clasps. That was given to me by my Gorian family. And that was very special to me that they wanted me to have that. And then I have really nice big locking ones that are very masculine looking because I like to see them on guys. Got some leather ones. And, I mean, if worse comes to worse, I can make it out of rope. I know a couple of different weaving patterns to make it out of rope. What I gave Manic Manor was yarn that I sat there with her and I braided it until it fit her ankle in the way that I wanted it to. So, I mean, a collar doesn't necessarily have to be metal or leather. You know, a collar could be a necklace. It could be a hair tie that you wear. It could be a ring. It could be, you know, like, I think that's what people get so hung up around it being around the neck. And you know, some people can't wear, like, I work, you know, for an accountant firm. I can't have a collar on my neck. I get away with a torque on my neck because I told them I do, you know, reenactment stuff. And it's very petite and beautiful. It's rose gold. Mr. Panda got it for me, actually. But he and I don't consider that a collar. It's just, you know, a token from him, basically.
I have a friend that works at a company that I'm not going to say because they'll probably sue. But she's in the lifestyle, and they had an incident at work where they have security, and employees have to go through, you know, check in and out. And they had an issue with one woman because she was a slave and she was wearing a metal locking collar around her neck and no key. And security was trying to get her to take it off.
It's like, I can't.
And luckily my friend that works there, you know, higher up, had to explain to the security guard that in that lifestyle, he was essentially trying to get someone to take a wedding ring off.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you that I have a Helix key that I always keep on my keychain because I've known too many people that have needed a Turian off for, you know, an emergency situation. And my little Helix key that works with my Turian is also going to work with most other ones. A Turian is a Gorian collar. It's basically a loop of steel that holds together. I could show you sometime. There's pictures of me in it, though, and you can Google it online. They're actually fairly heavy. It's a very constant reminder, like every time you swallow or anything, like you know you're wearing a collar. Which, ooh, can we talk about the Gorian reasons for a collar? I love talking Gore with you. I don't know why.
It's probably because I know nothing about it.
Neither do I, so it's kind of fascinating.
So, okay, in Gore, there's almost like a catechism that you do. You know, what are you? I'm a slave. Or La Kajira. What is on your neck? A collar master. And then they say, what are the 4 reasons for a collar? And I'm sure that between the two of you, you could get most of them, but the 4th one is always, you know, like there's always a 4th one. So you want to try and guess, or should I tell you?
I think we've talked
for the sake of time, let's just have you go through it.
Yeah.
So the first thing that a collar does is it denotes your position in Gore as a slave. You see a person with a collar on, they're a slave. The second thing it does is it labels who your owner is, because there would be a name on the collar or brand on the collar or something, you know, that would denote it. The third thing that it does is it reminds you of your slavehood. So it reminds you that you're a slave because, like, literally you move around and you can feel it. And the 4th thing is it's a damn good hitching post. You could literally, it's for leashing. And, you know, like everyone will catch the first few and then it's like, and it's also a really great way to leash someone and drag them along with you. That's the 4th reason for a collar. So,
especially if you're naked.
Especially if you're naked and there's nothing else you can grab but a nipple.
Hold on.
Nipple or a nose.
Or hair.
Now I'm back towards getting Bambi a collar.
You're welcome. Let's see. I'm going to look at your questions here. Do you think it would be a good idea for someone to have different collars for different occasions, or should someone try and find the perfect 24/7 collar? Ooh, I like this one. You want to go first?
I think that it depends on the person. Kind of like with going along with the wedding ring idea. I mean, most women have And, and some men, too, have jewelry that they wear for different occasions, but they have one piece that they always wear, whether it's a wedding ring or, something that they just don't take off on a regular basis. So I think it depends on the person. I personally like the idea of having different collars for different occasions or different situations. So having a very discreet everyday kind of a collar that you wear all the time, like a necklace or bracelet, that is somewhat sturdy and can take daily use and abuse, and then something that's more of a formal collar that you wear to more formal events. But more like a dress up kind of occasion, like if you were going
like a neck corset or something like that.
Yeah, like or even something like a more elaborate necklace instead of just a pendant on a chain for something where you're going like to a really nice dinner with your husband or master, where it's still kind of vanilla, but it's more of a dress up occasion, and then something that is very obviously a slave collar, like a neck corset, where you wear it only for only for lifestyle events. It is and with it would go, of course, with these, at least in my head, goes somewhat more formal protocol. The more formal the collar gets.
I mean, that's for sure. I mean, what I have Manic wearing for the next 30 days, I expect her to wear through the shower and everything. It's somewhere where it can be hidden. It's somewhere where it's going to be private, and it's just for us. And it also isn't going to hinder or get in the way of her other partners, which was a big deal to me. I didn't want her boyfriend to go to like kiss her or grab her neck or something, and there be something in the way of him being able to do that. Does that make sense? So I think that some people can't do 24/7. Like not everyone is 24/7 lifestyle. I mean, I am. You are. I think Hulk is for the most part. But like we had to wait for your munchkins to go to bed before we could talk about this stuff, right? So
yeah,
there's a level of how often you can do this with the kids around or at your job. I'm not going to do something that's going to jeopardize my job. And so for me, 24/7 is more like I live the lifestyle when I can. Does that mean that I'm not always kinky? No, but it definitely means that I'm more than just the bedroom.
I think that's how most people try to be.
Yeah. I've seen people that are like, oh no, my slave should just like not have a job and just take care of the house all day. Well, if you clean the house every day, pretty soon it's pretty clean all the time. Like that'll get old really quick. You better have like lots of hobbies for your slave to do if they're just going to be at home all day with no one else to do anything with.
Yes.
I do like different collars for different occasions and different people and different settings. I wear a doll key a lot, and that on my dollification level is as close to a collar as I will wear. But I wear it on a silver chain and it's just a doll key, and you can always tell if I am available for play or not based on if one of the holes to the key is open and showing. Most pictures of me, especially professional pictures, I close it because one day I will probably have a maker or a daddy that will be a 24/7 thing for me, and I don't want old pictures of me to present myself as, available. I'd rather look unavailable and then have that conversation like adults if I am available.
What I think is really awesome about the doll key is that it is a very unique piece. So it's very much a conversation starter. I mean, the first time I met you was at the dungeon, and I came up and I'm looking at it and I'm going, that's a really neat uterus pendant. Like that's really very feminine. That's very feminine, affirming. Hey, own the uterus. It's it's way to own your womanhood. And then you explain it was a doll key. I'm like, okay, because I was going, wow, she must be like super like feminist and really proud of being a woman. She's wearing a uterus around her neck. But like I had a friend when I first got in the lifestyle who wore a compass pendant as her day collar, and it was because she considered her master to be her compass. He was her guide. He was her north. And so she wore a compass necklace as her pendant, and I think she actually ended up getting a tattoo of a compass like on her arm somewhere. But that was a really nice, very symbolic piece, but yet it was and could be vanillified for other conversation, to talk to her mom or whatever about, but it still had very deep symbolism for her as a submissive.
You know what we haven't talked at all about collars?
What's
the
that?
Protocols of them, if you see someone with one. So in the gay leather scene, sometimes men will wear like their dog tags from being in the military. Lots of men will wear the big chains with the big master locks on them and stuff like that. It's a pretty well-known rule of thumb that you don't touch the things that are put around people's necks. Like, I would never come up to a coworker and be like, oh, let me see your necklace, and just grab it. And I think that doubly applies in the lifestyle. This is not something that you grab. I remember I was with one of my significant others on a trip one time, and he was in a collar, and I had a leash that snaked up and around his shoulder so I could grab it when we were ready to go, because he was in leash station for me. And one of the guys that was in our group, who obviously didn't know what he was doing, grabbed the leash and acted like he was going to play jump rope with it. And it was attached to my significant other's neck. And I was livid. I smacked his hand. I'm like, you don't touch other people's things. How dare you touch my submissive's collar? And he's like, hey, I'm just being funny. Yo, man. And I'm like, yeah, but you know what? We're at a kink event. And if you don't know how to act here, then you need to leave. So. Yeah,
I've seen something like that happen at an event before.
Yeah, that's, well, even from a vanilla standpoint, don't touch other people's stuff.
Yeah.
If I'm kind of in a unique position of seeing people's jewelry because of my job as a massage therapist, a lot of people will leave their jewelry on, and I will specifically tell them if I need them to take something off, like a really delicate chain or dangly earrings that I might pull on. I'll ask them to take that off. But I see a lot of wedding rings and a lot of, especially a lot of engagement rings and some absolutely stunning pieces. But the only time that I will ever touch any of that is if I'm actually working on that body part. If I'm working on their neck, if I'm working on their left hand and the ring is turned a little bit to where I'm going to either catch my own hand on it or it's going to pinch their skin, I'll just adjust it a little bit, and I might say something along the lines of, that's a very beautiful ring you have on. But in a regular vanilla setting where I'm just out and about with or even with one of my coworkers, I'm not going to come up and touch their necklace and say, oh, that's really pretty, let me touch it. I might admire it from afar, but I'm not going to actually touch it unless I ask, can I touch that? And that's, to me, that just seems like common courtesy, but sure. I guess there are other people who don't understand that you don't touch other people's stuff. I don't know. It's weird.
It's super weird. Hey, have you guys ever seen a collar when you're out in public at a vanilla setting?
Yes.
Yeah.
I totally have.
Yes.
And do you ever give them the what's up? Every once in a while I'll be like, that's a really lovely necklace. I have one similar. Just to kind of let them know that they're in mixed company.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, usually when I see someone with a collar out in public, it always seems to be at the grocery store. I don't know why. That
was almost not your father's root beer all over my Mac. That was real close, man. That would have sucked.
Isn't it smelling?
Yeah, it's vanilla.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I usually just give a head nod.
What's up?
Yeah, nice collar. Yeah,
and hopefully,
I actually had an ex-girlfriend who wore she wore her, she's actually the one who gave me the one that I have. She wore her Turian to work as a nurse, and she worked at the Navy hospital, and she had like a commander or somebody, as they were walking by, go, nice collar. And she was like, just kind of like shocked, like it just kind of stopped her for a moment.
I had considered wearing my Turian to work because it is just plain metal. When I have a bad day, it's kind of, nice to be like, oh, I want myself, because it is just for me. Because to me, discipline starts with self-care. And if putting on a collar will remind me to do the things I need to do to be an adult, then I should wear that for a little while. Now, I've transitioned over to other things. I have little rings I wear on my knuckles. I have other things I can do. But for a while there, I was like, oh, I could just wear that. And I put it on, and I looked in the mirror, and it wasn't professional for me. I think that other people can do it, and I think that's great. But the fact that I have the sides of my head shaved is a pretty damn big deal where I work. So I try not to rock the boat. I don't wear a ton of makeup. I don't get too rock star. I just try and look like the girl next door and fly under the radar a little bit. Anywhere else, though, I'm pretty comfortable with it. Turbans are great because, they can get wet. You can take them in the shower or whatever. Chainmail is really good for that, too. Leather is a bitch if you get it wet. Oh, my God, it's such a bitch. But it is fun to take care of. And it gets soft and it has a nice smell to it. Rope can be cool. Like hemp holds up to water pretty good, actually. Like, think about those hemp bracelets you used to have, like, as a kid in high school and middle school. Like, you didn't have hemp bracelets?
No.
I'll make you one. It'll say Twink on it. Was it Twink or Otter? Now I don't remember.
Good.
I can just go back and listen to it. It's fine.
Twink. It was Twink.
Yeah.
I'd say Otter, personally, just looking at
I told him he could be an otter bear.
Aww.
You have to lean forward. You have to show her your beard because it's awesome sauce. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't he cute?
Yeah, it's definitely Otter. Definitely a cute little otter.
So, now that we have Hulk blushing, that's a good day.
Now, can you put someone on a collar too soon?
Absolutely.
I think that yes and no, because on the West Coast, I learned this from friends that I had over on the West Coast. They'd be at play parties, and the dominants would bring their own collar. And if they met somebody that they wanted to be their submissive for the night, they would give them the collar, and the submissive would put it on. And then for the night, for that play party, that was their submissive.
I feel like that's a kink version of like a key party.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
And, I had one girl that was in my collar for a long time, who I put it on. It was a locking collar. If she hears this, she'll know exactly who she is because she's the only one that's ever worn it, and it is still sitting in a box for her because that's how I feel about it. And I remember I said, well, let's just see if this fits you. And she put it on, and I locked it on, and I kind of giggled, and I said, well, let's wait for our boyfriend to get home. And she said, he, okay. So then he came home, and he looked at it, and he's like, all right. And didn't bat an eye, was like, all right, the girl's collared, whatever. And so then we, take her to the dungeon that weekend with it on. She hadn't taken it off yet. It had been 3 or 4 days, and I just was like, well, you're just going to wear it still. It's locked on you. What are you going to do? And could she have gotten the key and taken it off? Of course she could have. But she was having fun, and I was having fun, and he was having fun, so have fun. Mm-hmm. And I remember we got to the dungeon, and I think it had only been a couple weeks that we'd all been really playing together. And one of the male dominants took me to the side and was like, so the collar. And I was like, oh, yeah. It just happens to fit her, and I like the way it looks on her, so it's going to stay for a while. And it stayed for, a lot longer than a while. And to this day, it's a good memory for me, putting that on her. It just is. I know that for the most part, and what I've learned from past experiences as a dominant, I won't put something on someone's neck for more than about an hour or 2 at a time for a long while. Manic came over, and we were going to go to the Eagle, and I wanted her to be in protocol, so I let her wear her collar, but I put it on her. And there's something about that protocol or that that time with someone when you put a collar on someone, like if they kneel for you or even if they bend over, because you fully submit, like you're giving someone your neck. That's a very primal thing. And I've seen people that will take advantage of someone, you know, like they rough them up or they tease them or, you know, and I know some people are into like that humiliation play, but to me, like that's a very sacred moment. Somebody putting a collar on someone else. Not a time for me to crack a joke and try and make that situation about me. It's a time to just be silent and let those two have that moment over in the corner. I think that the moment that someone is putting a collar on someone else is a very sacred moment, and it's a time of reflection. And I don't like it when other people jump in. You know, if you see a couple that's in the middle of a collaring thing or whatever, that's probably not the time to be like, oh, look, DC's getting a collar. Oh, she's a submissive now. Because I'm a big fan of if I am submissive, that doesn't mean I'm your submissive. Mm-hmm. Just like if I am dominant does not mean I'm your dominant.
Yes.
And I think a lot of times new people in the scene will wear a collar thinking that means they need to call everyone master or everyone mistress. Or new dominants will come in and see people in a collar and grab them by the hair or whatever because, well, isn't that what I'm supposed to do?
Well, and in some dungeons, in some clubs, there is actually a stated protocol that if you are wearing a collar, you are a submissive to the place, not necessarily a submissive to one person, but you are a submissive, and anybody who identifies as a dominant can use you. But that is that is very few and far between. That is something where the only people who are going to parties like that and places like that know ahead of time that that's what they're walking into, because that's something that the submissive has to consent to.
Yeah, you have to consent and negotiate to that.
Yes.
Somebody putting a collar on you does not necessarily make you their submissive.
No.
Unless you've talked about that and agreed to it.
No. I agree completely with the collaring of someone being a very special moment. I mean, that's why people have formal collaring ceremonies.
I've been to a couple of them,
and they're very much like a wedding.
Yeah, they really are.
It's a celebration of the commitment that they're making to each other, and the power that one is taking responsibility for having, and the power that the other is giving up. Mm-hmm. And it's a very beautiful thing, and. For those people, it is, it's definitely something that marks an anniversary kind of occasion.
I would say that as a good rule of thumb for someone new, the first time you meet someone is not a great time to have someone lock a collar on you.
No.
The very first time you meet someone. I would say as a rule of thumb, as a brand new person, that's probably not a good idea. You know what we didn't even talk about at all? Online collars and all the online BDSM games and stuff you can play. And there are people that have full 24/7 relationships with someone that they've never met. Again, if you're going to do that, I'm not going to judge you, but I am going to say, if you do meet them, you should meet in a public place. You should make sure someone knows where you are. Just because they've been a very awesome, good person to you online does not mean they're actually an awesome, good person. Yes. If you want a case in point story, I was role-playing with a guy online for almost a year. We owned a sim together, which is like a city. And came to find out this guy was a convicted felon and a bunch of other problems, and he tried to show up at my front door. And thought I was going to take him in. And I'm like, dude, I have a boyfriend. He lives with me. He's going to be home in a minute. You need to leave. So, case in point, learned it the hard way. Just because they're online and they say they're nice doesn't mean they're nice.
Right. Well, and just because you have, and personally, I believe that if you are going to have some kind of an online relationship like that, I mean, a 24/7 DS relationship is very intimate. It's especially from the submissive side, you're giving up a lot of your free will, and you really need to make sure that the person that you are giving that free will up to is someone above board. You need to meet this person. At the very least, you need to Skype with this person and see their face and see where they live and, have some kind of an idea that this 27-year-old dominant that you're, male dominant that you are submitting to isn't actually a 67-year-old, pedophile who is trying to get you into a situation where you are alone and vulnerable.
Yeah. It can be creepy. I mean, I think that a lot of the reason that I see submissives with collars on too quickly is because they want to feel like they belong. And the only thing I can say about that is I have an earned leather vest from my leather family. And I was with my leather family for about 5 years, I think, before I earned that leather. Maybe it was shorter than that, but it was a long enough period of time that I had gone through a lot of life with them around, so they would know who I was as a person. And the leather is almost like a collar to my leather family. It is a show of respect for them. It's also a representation of them. It also shows that they are backing me and that they support me and they trust me to make good decisions, even though I'm not close by. And so, I remember originally when I started working towards that vest, I wanted that vest. I wanted that vest. I wanted that vest. It was all about the vest, and I'm going to look so cool in this vest. And then somewhere along the way of doing things and learning about myself, I stopped caring if I got one or not. And I remember when I received my vest, I was in the woods with my leather family. They told me, close my eyes, put your arms out, and take 3 steps forward. Which is quite a lot of trust in the woods around the people I was around. They're a bunch of fucking sadists. But I did it. And when I opened my eyes, there was a white leather vest on me. And they told me that they were proud of me and that they felt that it was time for me to wear something like that. And I just remember feeling so unworthy. And I remember feeling, and I still feel this way, like I hadn't earned it yet, that I didn't deserve it, that I hadn't done enough to earn their trust in that sort of way. And so when I think about collaring people, like for long term, like for life, 'cause some of it's, for life, some of it's for play, some of it's for a training period of time, or, a relationship, which isn't always for life. I think about how I would want them to feel if I put that collar on them. Would I want them to feel like proud? Would I want them to feel honored? Would I want them to feel worthy? Or would I want them to feel like they have just gotten their newest fashion accessory? And for me, for the sort of dynamic I want, this isn't a fashion accessory. This is, it is basically an outward statement to the world that I claim this person. This person is mine. I'm responsible for them. And you have to get through me to get to them. Which, that's a very, very, very serious level. Versus, like Manik and I right now, it's like, for the next 30 days, this person is mine. Within the level of our contract. Which is, either one of us can cancel it at any time.
So we have learned a lot about collars tonight.
I think we have. Are we going to stay kinky?
I thank you both for being on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much. I had a lot of fun.
And again this week it was DespoenaCalypso and MassageMeDeep.
Yep.
I remembered it.
Good job.
Well,
This has been KingHulk. Until next time, stay kinky.
Raining in my sleep, hoping she don't follow me back home. Shaking as I speak, hoping she don't follow me back home.
hold on. The other day I was actually looking up collars for Bambi, and I found a really great one that I was really wanting to get, and it was perfect, and it was at the right price point. And I go to check out, and the price pretty much doubled with shipping.
Yep.
From Germany.
So I went. I was like, yeah, she doesn't need a collar.
You can find some.